And we start with some news today that sponsors, they're beginning to separate themselves from the Phoenix Suns in the wake of the NBA's investigation into owner Robert Sarver's racist and misogynistic comments and behavior. PayPal, that is the team's jersey patch sponsor, said Friday it would not be renewing its partnership with the team should Sarver return to his role after his one-year suspension. And this, what you're seeing on your screen right now, is part of a statement that was made by PayPal CEO and President Dan Schulman. So, Baxter, what is the significance of this?
It's very significant. We talked about on the show the last couple days concern internally in the fallout of the NBA's findings of sponsors beginning to flee and wanting to smooth things over with them. This is kind of the first domino in that respect. Obviously, you look back to the situation with Donald Sterling. I think at least a dozen sponsors fled the team in the fallout of that. I've talked about the intensifying concern internally about losing sponsors in the wake of LeBron James and Chris Paul's tweets. Here we have this today. I know that as of this morning, there's more concern about other big name sponsors. Certainly, a jersey patch sponsor, according to sources, I'm told, $3 million in revenue to the team last year. So it's significant.
That's interesting. And you have to imagine the question now is, could this be a domino for other sponsors to potentially pull out here? And all of this, Baxter, right, it comes within hours of minority owner Jahm Najafi calling for Sarver to resign. And as you all can see here, this is just a part of his statement. I am calling for the resignation of Robert Sarver. So what kind of weight, Baxter, does his specific statement hold?
It holds a lot of weight. First of all, this is the second largest stakeholder in the team behind Robert Sarver.
Second largest.
Yes. And then also to go back, when our story was initially released in November of 2021, the Suns released a statement with a number of the minority owners signing in support of Robert Sarver. Jahm Najafi was not one of those. In fact, he released his own statement saying that he was very concerned about the nature of the allegations and concerned for the employees and wanting to do whatever he could to try to help them and help the investigation along and so forth. So this is significant. And there was one line in his statement that really struck me. It was the only line that was in all caps, and it said, "Words and actions matter." And we've talked a lot about animus, which was a key word in the NBA's investigation report. Adam Silver was asked about it a lot. What did someone really mean? The fact that he included that, I thought it was striking.
Yeah, it was almost your interpretation when looking at it that perhaps that could be in direct response. Again, just sort of thinking through what just having that specifically in all caps could mean. So we've talked about statements made by the PayPal CEO, now by the majority owner who has the second largest stake. Something else to note, Phoenix mayor, this is interesting, a statement was also issued, as you can see here. We, like many others in our community, are appalled by the actions substantiated in the NBA's independent investigation into Phoenix Suns managing partner Robert Sarver. We have asked city staff to investigate any actions we as leaders of the city of Phoenix can take in light of the details substantiated in that report. And that's interesting to me because, remember, as we continue to look at this statement here, it was the city, right, Baxter, that put some money into the new arena that the Suns built.
Yeah, if you remember, not even that long ago, and I know one of the things that people talked about was the woman named Greta who got up before the city council and made some strong remarks about Robert Sarver at the time. But there was a lot of contentious back and forth about the money for the arena and whatnot. So the city does have a stake financially in this in a way.
Interesting. All right, I do want to bring in our Zach Lowe and Kendrick Perkins into this discussion. Good morning, gentlemen, or good afternoon on the coast that you are on. Zach, what do you make of this, Zach, as we continue to hear not only of minority owners making statements, but now sponsors are pulling out?
Two things. The first is last season, as the story was published and unfolded, the team kind of internally, the players and the coaches made a decision. We're going to address it. We're going to address it head on, and then we're putting it over here. We're playing for each other. We're playing for a championship. And it kind of went away for a while. I think there were some people who thought even when this report came out, that would happen again. And more, even before PayPal today, even before LeBron and Chris Paul tweeted, there was a sense that this is just not going to go away. And I think the avalanche of news since then, starting with LeBron's tweet, into Adam Silver's press conference, into the stuff you guys just talked about, this isn't going to go away. And I've had more than one source close to the team say some variation of, he just can't walk back in there, Robert Sarver, a year from now like nothing ever happened. That's just not an option anymore. The second thing is, I'm interested in what happens with some of the gender discrimination issues that this report very clearly raised. Things that seemed legally dubious to a lay person like me. Telling a pregnant woman that her pregnancy may jeopardize her career, or at least implying that. Saying, Robert Sarver saying, why do all the women around here cry so much? Lewd comments over and over again about women's bodies, the bodies of female staffers. All that stuff seemed to me to create a hostile work environment, to raise discrimination claims. And I ran that stuff by 3 high-powered attorneys yesterday who deal in this area, and they said, look, there are statute of limitations issues that may prohibit some of these victims, alleged victims, from raising those claims. But boy, oh boy, had they raised them in a timely fashion, they would have been strong cases. A plaintiff's lawyer could have built very strong cases. I'm just interested to see if there's any sort of fallout from that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.